little bit of a rough Tuesday to get the August going. Still in the green for the week, though. Did get a pair of winners last night with Baltimore and Kansas City. Mets gonna Met, a walk-off balk. We'll take it. Thought we were gonna blow that one late, but KC, man, 4 straight now. Just San Diego and Washington have not won 4 straight this season. And crazy day with the deadline, John. A lot of moving parts. Verlander back to Houston. And I don't know. I get it. Cohen has all the money in the world, but what? Is he just going to buy up big free agent contracts and pay for half the league's contracts? I mean, what has he got? 70% of that contract for Verlander. Houston gets a steal there. A lot of big news, John, yesterday. I don't know if there's anything that really made anyone more contenders than your eyes.
Yeah. Houston. I like what they did with Verlander. Again, we've been talking about it. Is Verlander what he was last year? No, last year he was insane. He come back off injury at his age to win the Cy Young, but he can still give you that game. And couple that with what Valdez did last night. I mean, that was what we were worried about. We used to call Valdez Mr. Quality Start. You can count on him having a quality start every time out. 3 prior starts banged around, and last night comes up with a gem. Now you get Ed Verlander back in the mix. France has been pitching nice for them. All of a sudden, Houston, to me, is the front runner. They've been there. I see Texas slipping down a little bit, although Texas added Scherzer. They're going to need him. We talked about that pitching staff, they were just pitching way, way over their head. Eovaldi having a career year, great career year till the blister came. Perez, who was great last year, not so much this year. Even Dunningham giving them good innings. Now you got Seager on the bench. Texas had that lead. It's been shrinking. It's a half game going into today's ball games. So I like Houston. I like what they did with Verlander. For you guys that only catch us here on YouTube, go over to my Instagram page, and Ben broke it down. I mean, really good. Talked about Baltimore getting Flaherty. Why? Another Wells, another Gibson, another, Creamer. He's a good pitcher. He's not the guy that they needed if you were going to get somebody. So that what Baltimore did was nothing. Looks like Yankees have given up hope. Today will be a do-or-die game. We'll talk more about that. Tampa Bay getting Savali from the Indians. Okay, nice piece. You can fit him back in there. Very, very interested to see what McClanahan does today. He hasn't been the same since dealing with back issues over a month ago. Toronto, they go and get DeJong. Is that because Bichette's really hurt? Let's see what happens with that. There's been no news. He was out yesterday. Bichette, 4th in Major League Baseball in batting average. So DeJong, is that going to answer any problems? It's certainly not. The Red Sox pretty much standing pat. What they got is what they're going with. They'll be battling Seattle today, more wild card. Seattle was a seller. They got rid of their closer, basically saying they're not even trying. They got a pitching staff. Don't know why they wouldn't go for it, Seattle, but doesn't look like they're going anywhere. In the Central, the Guardians, who were 1 game out last night, were sellers at the deadline, getting rid of Savali. They sent up smaller pieces, Bell to Miami, but basically gave up. And that's the effort that they got out of the team last night, getting no hit at Houston from Valdez, who had been horrible in his 3 prior starts. So Minnesota's going to win that division by default. They had really good pitching. Their pitching also falling off. That's why you can never have enough pitching. Jump over to the National League. Again, Ben broke it down perfectly. In the NL West, what do we have? Dodgers getting Rich Hill back again. That's how bad they are for pitching. Look, Rich Hill and Yarbrough tells me a little something. Maybe Kershaw not coming back so quick. Gonsolin was real slippage this year. Urias, real slippage this year. The other guys that are trying to get around, they're just not getting it done. So that's how desperate Dodgers are for pitching. You go over to who else we got there, Ben? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think you misspoke. There was Lance Lynn and Yarbrough, Rich Hill to the Padres. Padres did pick up some good bats, though. That's one thing that's kind of interesting. They didn't sell like everyone was kind of expecting. And we just talked about it beforehand. The pitching they've been getting from Musgrove and Snell. I mean, Waka earlier in the year, they've been getting great pitching. The bats haven't been producing. Random pickups, G-Man Choi and Garrett Cooper, some bats who might be able to add some pop to the lineup, bring some life to it. We'll see if it does anything there. Back to your point with Cleveland, just looks like they know they can't be competitive in the playoffs, so they're not completely selling the big pieces. Naylor, Ramirez, Bieber, obviously all staying put, but they're setting themselves up a little bit more for next season. Still brutal. If you guys saw the Instagram video, you guys saw my rant about the Tigers and the Rodriguez mishap. Just can't happen if you're Detroit. You finally get rid of Miguel Cabrera's contract in the offseason. That thing's been tying you down for 10 years, and you hold on to Rodriguez. So questionable moves there. Yankees and Boston, both very stagnant. Looks like they're kind of both just setting themselves up maybe to get in the Ohtani bid. The Yankees last couple of years at the deadline just wasted their farm system. You traded away. You got Benintendi. He's not there anymore. Montez, he's been hurt the whole time. Joey Gallo flopped. He's not there anymore. So all their big acquisitions at the deadline flopped. Looks like Cashman's just kind of turning it in, seeing what they can do here. But yeah, it looks like the AL West was just completely aggressive, and they're the ones who won the deadline. Rangers got aggressive. Houston got aggressive. Angels got aggressive. Start of the year, I thought it was for sure going to be two teams from the East in the wild card. Could see only one team making it possibly now. Maybe the Angels and Rangers are the ones who end up in the wild card, two of those wild card spots, and Houston wins that division. We'll see if that ends up happening.
Yep. I like Houston in that division. Minnesota looks like I said by default they'll win their division. Baltimore didn't do anything really great to help themselves out, but look what Baltimore went and did last night at Toronto. Man, they just played great, especially on the road. Tampa Bay looks like they're turning the corner. Big game today, like I said, both for Yankees and Tampa Bay. Want to see if Tampa Bay's really turned the corner. 2 of 3 at Houston, and now they're looking at a sweep if they could beat the Yankees today and beating their ace. That would be a big step. So that Toronto's got to get back on track, and if they lose Bichette for any period of time, that's going to be rough for them. Over in the NL, the Braves are the Braves. They're the best team in baseball. We're betting against them today, just to give you guys a heads up. This game starts at 12:20, so by the time we get it up, it'll already be started. So we're making a 1-unit bet on this. We're not betting against the Braves, betting against Kronos. Braves are a machine. Today's a day, 12:20 start, day game after night game. You just think they would give somebody a day off, but their top 4 guys, they've played all 105, and they're going to continue to play them today. I don't see it. I don't like it. Maybe they're all going to go for the 162. Rest you guys. I'm not an advocate of that, like the NBA resting guys every back-to-back. But after 105, day game after a night game, maybe it's time for a day off. You got bigger things in mind, and that would be World Series. So Atlanta, by far the best team. Philly and Marlins, they're really fighting it out. Epitome of that was last night. Look at that game, 1-0. Alcantara, is he back? Another great job last night, only to have the bullpen. Robertson, who was dealt to him from the Mets, comes in to finish that game off and gets nailed for 3 runs and the loss. So Philly and Marlins, they'll be going down to the wire. Again, we go into the Central, and all of a sudden, because we've been talking about the Central in both leagues, maybe only having the division winner, that NL Central now with these other teams beating up on each other. Cubs coming up, bringing up the pace. Milwaukee and Cincy half game ahead of Milwaukee. You could see something happening, maybe getting a second team from there. Padres, I just think they're too far down. Like as Ben said, with the pitching they're getting. For them, they should be in first place with that lineup. They're not. We'll see what goes on with the rest of for this team. Diamondbacks are falling. They're a falling knife. Another game they had last night, 3-0. You got to win that game at San Fran if you're going to be a wild card team, and they don't. So give San Fran the little bit of an edge there. San Diego got a lot of room to make up, and a bad break for them. We'll see about it. Musgrove was scheduled to go this afternoon, at Colorado. He's just scratched just prior to coming on. Now, is that a scratch because they don't want Musgrove's been pitching lights out? terrible stats against Colorado and at Coors Field. So I think just pushing them down the road a day, we'll see. But they've got Nick Martinez in. They'll be going at it with a bullpen game. Obviously, if I got to pick two teams right now, Ben, I'm going with the chalk. It's Atlanta in the National. And I think just Houston, they're there every year. And I think they'll be there when the smoke clears in the AL once again this year.
Yeah, I don't see anyone touching Atlanta. Dodgers would be the only team that could come close, but like we mentioned at the start, just they didn't get it with the pitching. They don't have three pitchers who can get them through a postseason. I don't know if they have three pitchers who can get them out of the first round. So we'll see what goes on there with the Dodgers. But yeah, the NL belongs to the Braves. And as far as the AL, Houston adding some pitching depth there. AL is a little bit more of a toss-up, but I just think once it gets down to that time of year, the experience Houston has, it's unmatched. I mean, just forget about the rosters. The experience over the last 6 years, absolutely unmatched. Angels and Rangers, if they make the playoffs, what have they done in the last 6 years? Absolutely nothing. It's a win for themselves to be in the playoffs alone, let alone compete in it. So see what happens. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a pretty chalk-heavy postseason. But every year there's a team, so we'll see. That's the fun part about baseball. A little bit less chalk heavy, I guess, in the postseason. What was it last year? Phillies and Padres, a couple of wild card teams making things interesting. We'll see if that's the case this year. We got some early games, like John said. We had the Angels in one of them, the other one, Detroit, Pittsburgh. That game's going to go off before we can get this out to you. First game, John, Brewers at Washington.
Well, let's talk about that game real quick, because as you touched upon, they failed to get rid of Rodriguez. But not only failed, they traded him to a team that he declined. I don't know why he would decline. Got to be honest with you, that's got to be something personal.
He did miss 4 months last season with personal issues that were kind of never cleared up. So maybe it has something to do with that. Who knows?
I have to believe that to be the story, because why wouldn't you want to get out of Detroit, go pitch in a pitcher-friendly ballpark for a team that you know is going to be in the playoffs? I don't get it. But look, all that being said, if you're Detroit, how could you be a loser at the deadline when you're a seller? You gotta pick that up. So got to be a weird situation with him going today. I would imagine the ball players, the team behind them, is going to be thrilled to still have him. They're like, hey, he's staying with us, that type of thing. But just got to be a tough position to pitch this afternoon. Day after negating a trade to the Dodgers. We'll see how that one breaks down. But yeah, we stayed away from that game. Pirates are getting Hayes back, the third baseman. He's been on the IL for quite a while. Two also ran teams. Angels we just took again because Kronos. Expect him to get hit. Angels need this game. It is getaway day for them. Just a game that they need more than the Braves. And got to give Giolito the pitching edge. This is why they brought him over there. So we'll move on from there, Ben.
Yep, we got Brewers at Washington. Brewers get it done last night. They even up the series. It snaps their 4-game losing streak. They need to get going, and hopefully they can keep going in this one. I mean, we talked about already with the Reds and the Cubs. The Central's getting very competitive. Have to beat up on one of the worst teams in baseball. It's going to be Miley, and his first start back from the IL was terrific. 6 shutout innings from the Reds. He's just kind of been a little bit of a blessing this year for Milwaukee, him and Teheran. And Gore, last time out, 3 runs, 5 innings, 4 walks against the Mets. A little bit concerning there. Did have a decent start against the Brewers last year, 6 shutout innings. Just don't want any part of Washington right now. They've been playing pretty good ball the last couple of weeks, especially for this time of year. But Milwaukee needs these games, and with that, it's just not too much it's too much importance for me to want to bet against it.
Yeah, Price is right for Miley's first time out. He would be a bigger favorite if he wasn't coming off the IL, but the price is right. No reason to want to take the Nationals here in this game. They got their game, the first game. They shocked Milwaukee and Burns. Milwaukee woke up yesterday, leaned to Milwaukee, but wouldn't go there with Miley's first game coming off the IL.
Then we have Padres at Colorado. You mentioned it earlier with Musgrove getting scratched. Going to be Martinez now. For Colorado, it's Freeland. First start back from the IL, roughed up 5 runs, 3 earned, 4 innings against the worst team in the league, Oakland. 0-3, 4.32 ERA in July. Decent numbers against the Padres. Really good this year. 1 run in 11 innings. He did have a 6+ ERA against them last year, but got 3 wins against them. So keeps them competitive in this matchup. This is going to be home dog or nothing. Waiting to see if some of those bats Padres picked up going to be in the lineup. G-Man Choi, Garrett Cooper. They need all the offensive help they can get with all the pitching they've been getting. So we'll see if that adds any kind of spark. And it's not even in the thought that maybe G-Man Choi or Cooper are going to bring in all this loads of production, but hopefully bringing those bats in the lineup opens up the pitching to the bigger bats in the lineup. Bogart, Soto, Machado. What are you going to get from them now? Is that going to open up things for them a little bit? More runners on base, hopefully, to open up opportunities, get more of the bullpen out of the stretch, whatever it might be. But either way, this is home dog or nothing with Freeland on the mound.
Yeah, home dog or nothing at a huge number. Can San Diego continue to go for it? Just because I'm saying home dog or nothing doesn't mean it's Colorado. San Diego needs wins. They've got to have a bullpen game up in Colorado. Freeland, it's only his second start since coming back from the IL. Colorado or nothing at a huge number. We'll see where this one goes. Already get the Rockies lineup. No Diaz, the all-star catcher for the Rockies.
And it's Phillies at Miami. Phillies get it done last night. And you said Alcantara, what a start just for Robertson to blow it. Looks like he brought the Mets curse with him to Miami. Excuse me. Marlins pick up some bats, though. Woo, got a hairball. Marlins pick up some bats. They got Josh Bell and Berger waiting to see if they're in the lineup. They need the offensive production. They've been getting it with the pitching this year. You have Garrett, who's been very solid. At one point, he was looking like the ace of the squad, had a rough for most of July, but last time out, 1 run in 6th inning versus Detroit. See if that gets him going at all. And Zach Wheeler, we've been talking about a lot of Philly all season long. They've been getting production out of Walker, out of Suarez, but when it came down to the aces being aces, Nola and Wheeler weren't getting it. Wheeler, 4 straight quality starts, last 2 runs, 13 2/3, 19 Ks, 2 walks. Full starts this year versus Marlins quality starts. Phillies getting it done in the series so far. They get the pitching edge today, and Wheeler getting hot at the right time of the season down the stretch. I don't want to get in the way of that. It would be Philly or nothing.
Yeah, Philly or nothing, although Wheeler did have a rough time against them last year, 1-1 with an 80 ERA. Also, Real Muto was a late scratch yesterday. Let's see if he's back in the lineup tonight for Philly. Big win for Philly yesterday. Come up on the road. Philly, not a great road team, basically a 500 road team this year. Miami plays well at home. And even with Alcantara's a beautiful game going last night, just all it takes is a Met to put his hands on something to mess that up, and that's what they did 3 in the ninth. So lean to Wheeler in a nice size pitching advantage. Garrett hasn't been great, and especially at home. Just the numbers right around where it should be. Although the sharps are on this short a little bit. This opened at $1.30, sitting at $1.20 now. So a little money showing up for the Marlins, the home dog.
Then we have the NL Central battle, Cincy at Chicago. Cubbies, 21 hits, 7 bombs last night. They win that 20-9. Offense was on full show. And I expect something similar tonight. I got to look at the over with this pitching matchup. It's Williamson versus Smiley. Williamson, 2 of his last 3 starts, quality starts. He's been solid. Did get roughed up by the Cubs earlier in May. And Smiley, he was good his last time out. Prior to that was brutal. And he's been brutal against the Reds this year. 2 starts against Cincy, 12 runs and 9 1/3. Has almost a 6 ERA at home. Got a lot of runs last night. I think we're getting a lot of runs tonight. And got to be looking at the dog money here with Cincinnati, who's just been getting it done on the road, getting it done in this matchup, and getting it done the last 2 months would be road dog here or nothing, and over or nothing for me.
Pair of average left-handers going at it here. And Smiley, I really don't want to say he was good last time out. He only got 4 1/3 innings in a 3-2 win. Against St. Louis, who's just, look, St. Louis is done. They're just not hitting for nothing right now. And before that, he was just absolutely trashed. 13 runs in 13 2/3 innings over 3 starts. So I'm going to give Williamson a slight little edge here. 2 of his last 3 starts, quality starts. Both teams are scoring in bunches. Reds are scoring. The Cubs went crazy last night after cooling off a little bit a few days. Reds still getting the job done on the road. I had to take the price here. Sharps don't think so. They're on the Cubs. I'm on the Reds. Let's see what happens in this one.
Then we have D-backs at San Francisco. It's going to be a debut today for Sissoni for Arizona. D-backs pulled a 3-0 lead last night. And going to be a debut versus a vet who's been going off this season. Logan Webb, 4 versus 5 July starts or quality starts. Last time out, 3 runs and 7 1/3 versus Boston. Been solid against the D-backs this year, 4 earned in 14 innings. Great at home, 2.20 ERA. Arizona just been really cold the month of July, and it looks like it's continuing on to August. It's a big price, a divisional dog. On paper, you want to maybe get tempted by the D-backs. Just can't do it. Can't pull the trigger. Bats aren't doing enough, and too big of a pitching mismatch here with Webb today.
Sorry about that, Ben. Just reading some stuff coming in. Okay, so yeah, we're looking at the D-backs. Falling knife the D-backs now. Don't know if Ben said it. Just 2.75 runs per game. Their last 4, 3 and 9. Their last 12. Giants, they ain't scoring either. They've scored more than 4 runs only once in their last 13 games. Just not getting it done, but winning, and that's what happens when you're at home at San Fran Pitchers Ballpark. 5-2 on this homestand. They're playing them basic 3-2 games and getting the job done. 3-2, 4-3. That's what they did last night. Logan will keep Arizona in check. He's been doing so all year. 5 qualities, 4 of his 5 quality starts in July. Expect him to throw a good game. Big number. I'm not laying San Fran. Just no reason to take an ice-cold Arizona team that's went from first place to now falling out of the wild card.
Yeah, tough to get behind either team there. Big price there for San Francisco not scoring. Then it's Cleveland at Houston. Cleveland, another one of these teams not scoring, and so much so they got no hit last night. Got to give credit to Valdez, though. Big bounce-back start for him. Stroh's playing good ball. They've won 3 or 4. They had that big implosion. Their bats aren't going too crazy, but they had that 17-run performance against Tampa Bay. Bibby versus Blanco. Bibby's been really good in July. 3-1, 1.78. We'll see if that carries over against Houston. He's had some road struggles. Price on this game says Cleveland. Just 2 teams going in opposite directions. Guardians, Sellers yesterday. Houston, your ace has a big bounce back, no hitting start. You get Verlander back in the mix. You're finally getting healthy. Altuve and Alvarez. Just so much here going right here for the Stros. I'm not going to get in the way of them climbing up the NL or the ALS. Excuse me. That looks like what they're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly what Ben said, and let's just add in that with that. Naylor was a late scratch last night. He only leads the team 18 homers, 79 RBI, and a 306 batting average. He'll be questionable today. Since coming back, they gave Jordan Alvarez off last night. 7 for 18. He's batting 389 with 2 homers since coming back. He'll be back in the lineup today. Altuve, he played last night. He'll be out today. 8 for 22, 364 with a homer since he's coming back. Here come those 2 guys back. Here back comes Verlander. Here comes Houston. That's why I like Houston. Not betting them today, just as Ben said. The number says you should be betting Bibby against Blanco in a start, as they're recalling Blanco to fill in for this game. But I don't want no part of Cleveland with Naylor questionable, a team that's now became a seller. The heart was ripped out of the team yesterday, and that was apparent in their hitting as they got no hit. So I'll stay off this one.
That's Red Sox at Seattle, Crawford versus Gilbert. Boston evens the series last night. They won 11 of the last 14 meetings. There's 2-3 on this road trip, though. Crawford been pretty good. He's very good on the road. 5-3, 2.36 in 11 outings. Was decent in July there, and 1 start through Seattle this year through 5 shutout innings. And Gilbert been terrific. We talk about it a lot with the Seattle team. Pitching's not the problem; it's the bats. And with Crawford being competitive on the road, competitive lately, have a hard time backing Gilbert in this one. Would be a lean to Boston. Own this matchup. Didn't make any moves at the deadline, really. A couple trades here and there. Nothing too drastic. We'll see if they can catch up in the wild card race, but this is not too drastic of a pitching edge for me for Gilbert to make up for the lack of offense Seattle has. This is Boston or nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it was Boston or nothing on the overnight. That line you could have took plus 129. This game is now down to 107. That, to me, that's the right number. No edge in this one. 2 good pitches here. Gilbert, 4 of his 5 starts, July, all quality starts, 4-0, 2.78. He's pitching real good. Crawford pitching good. I got to give Gilbert the pitching advantage, though. Red Sox, as we talk about all the time, not the same hitting team on the road away from Fenway, hitting just 236 on the road, scoring just 4.3 runs per game. I think the number's right. We'll stay off this one.
And we have Rays going on to try to get a sweep at Yankee Stadium today. They win again last night. Probably the best pitching matchup on the card. McClanahan versus Cole. McClanahan 5th in ERA. Cole 2nd in ERA. McClanahan just hasn't been the same since that back injury. 8 runs in, 9 innings his last 2 times out, and that's against 2 of the top AL teams, Houston and Baltimore. one start versus the Yankees earlier this year, 4 runs in 4 innings and a 9-8 loss. Cole, 5 July starts, 5 quality starts, 2.20 ERA. He's just been the most consistent pitcher in baseball this year. Did have one really bad outing against Tampa Bay at Tampa Bay, but was good in the start at home. And that was back in May and April when the Rays were just playing out of their minds offensively. So Cole gets the pitching edge. Yankees need him now to pitch. I mean, Yankees can only get done with the pitching right now. The bats are non-existent. Would be a lean here to Cole and the Yankees to prevent the sweep. This is why you pay him the big bucks. This is why he's the ace. Stop the losing streaks. We'll see if he can do it here against Tampa Bay. Tough to back that offense, though.
It's real tough. We've been giving stats while Judge was out. 24-29, there was their record, scoring just about 3.8 runs per game, which would put them 28th or 29th in runs scored in the league, and batting .220, battling with the A's for last. Well, Judge comes back, and they just keep walking him. So Judge now, since he's back, 4 for 11, 6 walks in 4 games. In those 4 games, Yanks have scored more than 1 run just once. That was the outburst at Baltimore. He's played in 4 of the 5 games since he's back. Yankees just 1 and 4 in those games. No offense. No offense. I want to bet Cole in the worst way today. McClanahan, as Ben said, struggling since with these back issues. This is a game Cole has got to win. The Yankees cannot let Tampa sweep them at Yankee Stadium or their season's over. Just with no offense, not worth laying the price, even though it's a small price with Cole. Tampa Bay resurgent. Are they going to turn this thing around? Remember, this team was the hottest team in the world beginning of the season, fell into that natural regression that we figured. Sweeping here would be a nice little road trip. 2 or 3 in Houston, sweeping 3 at the Yankee Stadium. Yankees and nobody just can't back that up. That can't back Cole with no offense.
Yep, tough to back it. And then you have the other AL East matchup, Orioles at Toronto. Orioles continuing to own this matchup. They've won 7 of 8 meetings this year, all 5 in Toronto. The best AL road team, second best team in baseball. They're getting things done. Toronto's now dropped 3 straight, scoring just 2.3 runs per game. Rodriguez versus Kikuchi. Rodriguez coming off his best start since rejoining the rotation. Granted, it was 6.1 shutout innings against a non-existent Yankees offense, so don't know if we can give him too much credit there, but he's been looking better, and he definitely has the stuff. And then as far as Kikuchi, he's been solid, 1 run in 11 1/3 his last 2 times out. This is bad history versus Baltimore. 5 runs in 9 1/3 this year, had over an 8 ERA in 6 outings versus them last year. Going to be Orioles or nothing here. You can't bet against the second best team in baseball, best road team in the AL. Who owns this matchup? Can't bet against it. Orioles or nothing.
Yeah, Kikuchi has a rough time against the Orioles. Had a rough time so far this year. Battered last year. Big game for Rodriguez. First game he comes back, he gets recalled because he did great. They sent him down. He was getting crushed in the majors, gets sent down. Pitches great at AAA, comes back. A decent game against Tampa Bay, 2 runs in 5 2/3 innings. A great game against the Yankees. Let's see what he does for his 3rd time out. They really need this kid to step up, unless they're hoping for Flaherty to be their answer to their call. But we'll see. This Oriole team just getting no respect. Same thing as the Reds. They just keep winning. They just keep getting no respect. If Bichette is out, there's no way I could make the Blue Jays the favorite in this game.
Yeah, tough to back there. Toronto right now, no offense. White Sox and Texas, same thing going on in this matchup. No offense from either side. White Sox been shut out their last 2. Meanwhile, the Rangers, 2-5 their last 7, 1.5 runs per game their last 4. They're not hitting either. Cease versus Dunning. Cease, he's been pretty rough the last couple times out, but against Texas, really good. Quality start versus them earlier this year. In his career, 3-0, 2.73 ERA versus them. And Dunning, he's just fallen off a cliff a little bit. He was pitching out of his mind, especially for his standards earlier this season. Was on pace for a career year, falling back to the norm now. Last 2 starts, 8 runs in 8 innings versus the Padres and Dodgers. Cease gets the pitching edge. Neither team really hitting. It'll be White Sox or nobody. I'm not looking to back the team fresh out of the deadline who did the most selling at the deadline, but Rangers offense not existent right now also. So this would be lean the White Sox, probably a better look at the under. I don't see either team putting up too many runs here, and could be an opportunity for Dunning to have a little bit of a bounce-back start.
Texas Rangers lead the league in hitting, batting average, and scoring. And in the last four, have scored an average of 1.5 runs per game. They've been totally shut down. They're missing Seager real big time here. Cannot back the White Sox. 2-8 in their last 10 games. They've been shut out back-to-back games, but just can't lay a Texas team with Dunning on the mound, who hasn't been as good while they're not hitting against Cease. Cease can still come up with a game as he's done in the past against Texas. I'll stay off this one.
And Twins at St. Louis. Twins finally snapped a losing streak. They had lost 5 in a row. They got a 3-2 win last night. And then this Cardinals team, they dropped 4 or 5. They're sellers at the deadline. They're giving it up, putting the nail in the coffin on the season. Ryan versus Hudson. Ryan just a little bit brutal lately. 1-2, 7.45 his last 4 starts. Last time out, gave up 4 runs, 7 hits, and 3 2/3 against Seattle. This is a weird game. I don't want to back the Cardinals, but Ryan's not pitching well. Twins aren't hitting. They aren't playing well. 2 teams where, the Twins have a chance. They should win their division. Like what'd you say earlier? By default, that's exactly what it is. They should win their division. They're not playing like they want to. This is a game they need to win. I don't know if they do. It would be a lean here to the Cardinals just because it's dog money and 2 teams going nowhere.
Yeah, so I'm going to lean to the home team Cardinals, just as Ben said. Want to make sure you're going to have Goldschmidt and Arenado in that lineup, though, today, or it's a complete letdown. Look, just betting against Ryan over here. He's been horrible in his last outings. Hudson, really not that much better. He got hit hard his last time out. But if I'm going to take anybody, I'm going to take the home dog. Now that it's all over, they know that they're sellers. This is just a little bit of inflated price. Twins right now sitting at $1.35 on the road at St. Louis. Twins are just terrible on the road. They just snapped their 5-game losing streak with a win last night. So if the number's right, everybody in for St. Louis would be St. Louis nobody.
The Mets at Kansas City. Royals win it on a walk-off balk last night, and it's just kind of been the story of the Mets this season. Nemo was a scratch last night. We'll see if he's in the lineup. They kind of need him after dealing so much. Senga versus Reagan. Senga gets the pitching edge. 3 of his 4 July starts, quality starts. He was terrific. Last time out, 1 run in 6 innings. Has been worse on the road. We'll see if that carries over to Kansas City. And then Reagan's, he was good in his 1 start earlier in July, but that was a time against Tampa Bay when Tampa Bay was ice cold. We'll see what happens here against the Mets. Give me Kansas City in this matchup. This Mets team just shot themselves in the foot. They said whatever to their season, sold at the deadline, lose last night in traumatic fashion. And KC with their longest win streak of the season right now. I'll take a home dog with the team playing their best ball of the year against the Mets who just called it a year.
Yeah, just getting the Padre lineup in now. So Padres won't have Choi or Cooper in the lineup, but they'll have the rest of their guys. So no sitting Soto, Machado, any of those guys today. They're all in the lineup. Mets was just automatic bet against the Mets. We talked about it. They really held up well against the Nationals at home, winning 3 of 4 in the midst of getting rid of their closer. Their 2 aces, Scherzer and Verlander. Just too much now. They go on the road. Mets are a bad road team. I believe it's 3rd worst road record in the National League. They've now dropped 6 of 8, 24-33 for the year. Nemo sat out last night. You got a lefty. Reagan's going today. Probably going to sit Nemo the lefty again in this one, I would imagine. Senga's been fantastic for them. He is now their ace by default. He had the numbers to call it right up there, but with Scherzer and Verlander gone, Senga's their ace. On the road, though, a 4.07 ERA. He did have a great outing at Arizona. I believe that was his last road game. Price is right as far as I'm concerned. Reagan's through 1 game. He was a relief pitcher for Texas till they acquired him, KC. They sent him down in the minor leagues, brought him back as a starter, and then in his first start, he had a decent game against Tampa Bay. Numbers right. Not interested in this game unless that number moves, or maybe the Mets start sitting Lindor and Alonso and some other guys besides Nemo.
And then last game on the card, A's at the Dodgers. Lance Lynn last night comes up with a quality start in his first start with the Dodgers. Oakland 2-2 their last 4, 3-7 their last 10. You guys know the story with them. It's Harris on the mound, 0-3, 8 ERA in July. Last time out, 2 runs and 3 1/3 versus the Giants. And Gonsolin, he hasn't really been much better. 1-2, 6.39 in July. Last 2 starts, 9 runs in 10 innings. Like the over last night, like the over again in this pitching matchup today. Imagine Dodgers get theirs. We'll see if Oakland can get to Gonsolin more than they got to Lynn, but can't back the A's here as much as I want to go against Gonsolin. Just can't do it with Harris and Oakland.
No, I agree with you. I mean, you look at the Dodgers right now on this homestand, just 3-4, scoring 3.86 runs per game. They only hit 231 against lefties. There's a different lefty, though, Harris. Expect them to get some numbers off him. Dodgers still want to get some W's on the board. Well, Martinez, he missed the last 2 games. He leads the team in RBIs. He'll be questionable. Cannot bet the A's. Terrible team, terrible on the road. They've shown a little bit of life lately. 2-2 in their last 4, scoring 5.5 runs per game. Just a huge number. I'll stay off this one also.
And that's the Wednesday card. A lot of day games. Got to wait for lineups today. A lot of trades yesterday. Got to see who's in, who's out. If you guys want that information throughout the day, go to howtobeatthebookie.com or download the How to Beat the Bookie app. We're running a little bit behind on things today, so I'm going to try to get this out to you guys as quick as possible. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. John, you got anything else?
That's it. Tough day yesterday. Favorites go 11-4. Always going to be tougher for us when the favorites win that amount of games. A lot of baseball season left. We went out July with a bang, started August with a whimper. We'll get it started. We'll get back on that right track today.
Yes, we will. Make sure you guys go check out the app and the website. Let's make some money, John.
Let's make some money.